fine. Want a takedown? Here's my takedown. This movie came out a few months ago. The hype was almost everywhere. So, here I am. As a guy who likes animation, I finally decided to hop in and watch the Netflix movie that kind of became really big. Actually, not kind of. It became really big. People are talking kind of talk about it, and they're gonna release it on theaters as a sing along. That's right. The movie I'm talking about is none other than the latest Korean Sony animated movie, KPop Demon Hunters. I don't know what the noise is. Probably something happening on the water, but yeah, KPop Demon Hunters. That movie came out a little bit out of nowhere, as far as I can remember. It came out kind of like a few months ago, but honestly, I was not sure if I wanted to watch it or not. You're gonna have a little bit of a bad impression of me, but I think I did tell my kind of like my bad luck when it's about Korean movies. Either when it's an animated horror movie or drama or whatever it is. For some reason, I always stumble that no matter what Korean movie I watch, or even on television, every single time, I don't feel any joy out of it. It always leaves me more depressed. And that is because I kind of found out kind of like a pattern in which it really came something about it kind of, I think it's something cultural on South Korea, that they always try to find some kind of emotion or on storytellings, when they always kind of say that life is all sadness, depression. It's all about that you are gonna your life kind of, it's kind of like saying your life sucks and you're never gonna get away with it. They always talk about we live in a society where I'm bullied and you'll never get away with it. You're never gonna be happy no matter if you find a happy ending, or you're gonna be kind of like poor without money, and you will always gonna stay like that. This is kind of like the impression that I get. Or if it's not like that, something really bad is always gonna happen. And every single time, all these movies always end with something really, really sad or depressing. And honestly, I don't know if it's me or if I have kind of like a bad selection of when I want to watch Korean movies. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't criticize their style or something like that. It's just personal. It's me. I think that fear, I kind of all started when I saw probably what I consider my worst experience on watching animated movies. And that is this movie called The King of Pigs. That movie, I freaking hated it. It was not only depressing, it was so mean, it was so dark, I despise it. And guess what? That director kind of came back to my life with Train to Busan. And boy, that I can tell that it has its fans, but how depressing it was. And then I kind of come with all the other selection. Parasite, depressive. I heard about Old Boy. I never watched it, but I know that it's gonna be depressive. The last animated movie I watched from Korea was actually Paddock. I saw it a few months ago, at least the second time. It's depressive, but honestly, as much as I criticize Korean filmmaking about how they really, really want you to feel really bad about yourself, I'm not going to deny that sometimes when they do good things, they do good things. For example, in Paddock, I will say that Panic is a really, really depressing movie, but it plays the cards really well and making it kind of like a story in it. Yeah, even though it doesn't end well, but that's kind of like my biggest criticism with that. So, so this is with that in mind. This is kind of like the reason why I was feeling hesitant on watching K-pop Demon Hunter, despite that everyone's saying, like, "Wow, it's so great" and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, but it's come from the country that gives you Squid Games. I only saw the first season of Squid Games, and I really despise the finale. I didn't like it mostly because the main character at the end makes a really boneheaded move for no reason, and it that didn't end well. I found that this when I was rooting for the main character, he does something so unforgivable that I was like, "You lost me, dude. You lost me." So because of those, oh yeah, there was also this zombie TV series, depressive also. But either way, I don't know. It's almost like I have the meanest touch for when I say like movies from South Korea. Whenever I touch, oh, I'm gonna make me feel sad and all this stuff. So I was kind of like hesitant. Is this gonna happen with me with Demon Hunter? In which I'm pretty sure that it's gonna end up something that's gonna be sad, depressing, or that makes me feel like, oh my god, or something like that. I was kind of like afraid of that, but a little bit my curiosity began to pick up a little by little because of the hype. People are talking about it. I read that Penny Arcade comic that it was kind of hilarious about one guy. It was kind of like these two characters. It was like, hey, you saw K-pop Demon Hunter? And I was like, I don't have time, but it's on my list. And then he just shackled the guy with on chain. It's like, no, you're coming with me. We're gonna watch K-pop Demon Hunters for kind of like the 5th time or something like that. It was kind of like hilarious. But, yeah, I think that comic came out last week ever since I talked about this vlog. And after seeing that this movie is gonna have a release on theaters, but with a sing-along kind of thing, I was like, I don't know. I don't wanna spend money to do all these stuff. And besides, now it's been kind of like 2 weeks that I haven't seen a movie that a movie theater catch my attention or something like that. So I was kind of like taking a break. I decided to play Pal World. I played along, and then I couldn't sleep. And then I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's get this over with. Let's see if K-pop Demon Hunters is the kind of like this great animated movie that everybody is talking about. And let's see. I gotta say that K-pop Demon Hunter was actually kind of fun. I can finally, now that I see it, that movie was a lot of fun. I dug it. I dug the movie, and this movie, at least personally, is a miracle. It's a miracle that I finally saw a South Korean movie that doesn't depress me. It didn't make me feel bad. But I could notice some hints here and there, and I will say that there are a few criticisms that I can say about this movie. Although that doesn't mean that I'm gonna deny your obsession and say that, oh, this is the greatest movie ever, because it is really good. I'll say it is, and I can see it. It's probably one of the better animated movie I've seen kind of like this year. Although personally, it's not gonna top. Well, The Day the Earth Blew Up. The Day the Earth Blew. I like the Day the Earth Blew Up much more than I did with K-pop Demon Hunter. But if there could be kind of like a second or third place now that if we can see the other animated movies that we're gonna get this year. It's great. I'll say that it's great, and considering that it's Sony Animation, I have that I have kind of like my whether you get K-pop Demon Hunters from Sony, sometimes you also get Smurfs. Yeah. Wait a minute. It was Sony or it was Nickelodeon. What was it? The Smurfs. Whatever. They kind of have something like that. Although there is something out of desire that there are some things that I can criticize K-pop Demon Hunters, but still, the movie was something fun, and I can see some of the. A lot of the people that how they really like it. So basically, let's start kind of like the story, in which I will say that the story really feels like this is kind of like a pilot for a TV series. It's basically, although not by a long shot, we can say that's kind of like the initial things, in which is basically we got three girls. They are from a K-pop group. What was their name? Let me see if I can remember. Romy, Mira, and Zoe. Let me see if Romy, Mira, and Zoe. I got my Wikipedia here just for I gotta say reference. It's Rumi. Sorry, Rumi, Mira, and Zoe. Yes, yes. I only botched it a little bit with Ruby. And basically, they are K-pop singers, but they also are demon hunters, in which basically they use the positive emotion of their songs to make the people feel happy. So in order to power up, kind of like this holy barrier that keeps demons away. Because well, in this world, demons when they leak into the real world, they're there to suck the souls of people and basically disappear. And of course, there is this fiery demon king. What was the name of this thing? Gima or something like that. Kind of hard, I'll say. Gima. So yeah, that's basically the kind of thing. It does feel like that kind of like a story that you can see in anime, and it's cool. I like that. I like that premise. And then of course the story kind of takes like the stakes, in which Gima kind of come out, let's say with the Power Rangers plan, in which he said, hey, let's combat these K-pop Demon Hunters with a boy band. Since everyone loves them, now we're gonna give them competition with a boy band led by this guy named Genu. And from there on, well, that's kind of basically the story in a nutshell. But it's a little bit more three-dimensional and layer than you can get, because the story actually then begins to center mostly on the leader of the girls, Rumi. Rumi, yeah. It's centered mostly on Rumi because, well, she's also half demon. Her father was a demon, and well, the demons are. The demons, when they take human form, they are, how can I say? They're pinpointed because they have some stripes. Their marks all over their body. Ruby has some of those, and she's ashamed of that. She doesn't want to show them, especially because their teacher or their mother figure, they say demons are evil, they must be eliminated, and well, she doesn't want her friends to think that, well, I'm a demon and they're gonna go against me. And well, but not only we center on Rumi, we also center on the leader of the boy band named Saja Boys. The leader of the Saja Boys is a guy named Junior. You know what? What was it? Genu. Yeah. Genu, who he really looks like exactly what what an idol, boy idol will look like. For some reason, he kind of looks more like those Japanese singers more than a Korean singer, but I digress. And they kind of form a romance because Gino also has this backstory in which he was also human years ago. He played music, but then he sold his soul to the devil for riches, and then he betrayed his family, so he killed. And of course he does that because the Demon King will tell him that, okay, I'm gonna erase your memories if you succeed on defeating the KPop Demon Hunters. That's kind of like the kind of like the most, let's say that kind of like the most interesting part of the story, I'll say, because while I do like the dynamic of the girls, I'll say there was something kind of special mostly between Rumi and Jinu. They kind of have this layer understanding that it is interesting. As far as I will say is that I did actually dig in a lot of the character. I did dig in, the girl's personality. Rumi as being kind of like the leader, the one who is because she wants to, because she thinks that by doing all those things, doing her mission and all that stuff, she kind of becomes a little bit of a workaholic because she wants to erase her shameful marks that she always had. You see her art, but she kind of, again, a workaholic, the leader, that kind of personality. Then there's Mira, who is the kind of like a little bit the stoic, hot-headed, kind of stylish kind of person. And Zoe is kind of like the most bubble-headed of all the girls. And the more you get, and I know that probably you might be thinking that, yeah, these are the Powerpuff Girls, the Korean Powerpuff Girls. I thought about it, but then it kind of came into my mind, and then it kind of more reminded me of the Goldwings from Final Fantasy X2. I mean, Rumi is Juna, Zoe is Riku, and Mira is Pain. They almost have kind of like this kind of personality. Now that I think about it, and well, the boy band's basically Sideshow Boys technically doesn't have much of a personality except for Ju. Again, the name is Jinu, who he's the kind of like the only guy who we know the backstory. The other ones are kind of there, and they have kind of like this personality that the girls are kind of like, oh my god, they all swim because they have pecs. They have pecs, and I know that one of them kind of have the hair kind of like this anime style kind of thing. And Gino also have kind of like these pets that I really love. These pets. There's this cat who kind of looks like a Cheshire cat, but in a yoke kind of the demon kind of thing. It is based on Korean culture. That's admirable. And also there's this crow with kind of like 3 eyes. I really love this crow, or magpie, or whatever you want to call it, because it also has kind of like this little hat. Honestly, I want to have this hat, because if that hat, especially because I would like to give Spencer this hat. Do you hear that, Spencer? You appear in the movie. Well, not exactly. I just want to see Spencer with that hat. Although it was kind of cute saying that the guy say, "Oh, I gave the hat was for the cat, but the bird took it," and the bird is kind of having this smug smile. There's also the manager of the K-pop group. What was it called? Oh yeah, the group was called, what was it? Demons? Huntrix. It was called. He's voiced by Ken Jeong. this guy, he kind of reminded me a little bit of. Remember this old show, Hi Hi Puffy and Miyubi, in which it's kind of like their exaggerated versions of that duo, and that show also had one of their managers named Kaz in it. That kind of remind me of the King Jeong character. He's kind of like a likable guy. I'll give it that. There's also some of the fans, and of course there is the evil king, demonic king, who, well, he's basically this ball of fire, I'll say. By the way, I am talking this because I saw the English version. I know there's a Korean version, I'll say. I just went through for what I go through with it, and, well, the demon the demon king, Giwa, or Gima, whatever it was called. He was the only Korean voice actor who actually reprised his role. As in both versions, both the English and the Korean version. And here is as energetic and likable the characters are in this movie, except for one, I'll say. Here is where I have a little bit of a mixed bag, I'll say. And that is the animation itself. I'm not saying that the animation is bad. I remember that I told you. There's no point of me talking about animation when it looks really good. But there is something that kind of nags me on when they use this style and even the textures that you basically notice that they basically use the same animation style that they use on the Spider-Verse movies, in which it's something that it kept diminishing it to me a little bit, little by little, in the terms that I'm finding this a little bit, how can I say, lazy, in which you don't want to animate frames or something to make something smooth. But I get it. It goes like that. And you know what? I noticed that that art style, and it feels having that it has this claymation feel sometimes. I accept it. I'm beginning to grow. The more I think about it, it kind of grows fond of me, except on certain areas. It's mostly kind of like in the crowd scenes that I kind of noticed that it's something choppy on it. And they wanted to go with the extra mile in which the character wanted to go, and very expressive with the wild takes and having these anime face and all this stuff. And I like them. I like those anime faces. I really love them, but they work better when there is not a crowd. When there's scenes in which when there are no crowds. This is where the kind of like the super expressive kawaii anime faces that they do, or sometimes more exaggerated. This is where they work well, because sometimes when there's a lot of a crowd, it feels kind of like distracting, and sometimes it makes me feel like there's something off in some area. But there's some others that I absolutely love. Although I kind of still wish that this movie would have been, I think it could have been worked better if it was more on, how can I say, if it was more 2D animated, I'll say. I know that I'm sounding picky on that, but I think this movie could have be a little bit better if it was 2D animated. Although the CGI, I'll say that it was bold that they decided to go a little bit the extra mile on the expressions compared to the Spider-Verse or what was it, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. Those are the movies that they use that kind of like that style. Some of the expressions really work really well, especially in the wild takes. Probably kind of like my favorite one is with this doctor who he has the stereotypical Asian eyes, but then when he wants to look at the others closely, he just it just kind of bloated his eye like, that was that kind of anime style. I love it, and I actually really appreciated that they don't go overboard with the anime expressions because, or else they kind of do like these French anime knockoffs that I really don't like. Uh, yeah, I'm talking about shows like Martin Mystery or Totally Spies, in which I never got into those French series mostly because they wanted to use the anime aesthetics, but they overly use it, and it feels really out of place, and really it gets annoying. It really does get annoying. But either way, yeah, that's all I can say about the art style. But of course, we all gonna talk about the music because this is all pop music. Whether you like it or not, you can. I mean, what do you expect? It's K-pop. I'm more into J-pop and sometimes or other pop. I like pops and some of them, not all. But I'm not gonna deny that these songs are really catchy. What was it? I think that my favorites are probably what was it, the final song, I don't know what is it called. I like Takedown also, and a little bit also Golden. Actually, you know what? It's hard to pinpoint which one is which, but I am gonna definitely predict that probably one of these songs are gonna be nominated for the next Oscars. That definitely I'm gonna say. Well, and now here's a little bit, how can I say, my small critique on the movie is that because of the nature that makes it feel like a television pilot. Sometimes you have to be in kind of like in a mood in which you don't need too much details here and there, and sometimes I feel like the movie is more about Rumi and again Genu more than the other ones. Although because honestly they have their hits, but it kind of feels like we don't hang out with the three girls as much than we do with Rumi and Gina, but maybe that was not the intention of it. We do at least know we know more about Rumi more than we know. We only know kind of like details about Zoe and Mira. Yes, but so, and in a way, this is kind of, I would say that probably some of the best scenes is when the three hang out, or Romy and Gino, in which, and in one aspect you can see the chemistry of the three girls, and on the other aspect you see kind of like the bonding in which I really like, kind of like the theme in which they have kind of this hatred to the demons, and of course it's understandable. Those demons, they just want to get out, eat their souls, and I mean what they're doing. But not all of them are kind of like that. I like that. I like in the case of Genu, he's basically just a human that well, now he's living haunted with some of the things that he has done. Some other embrace them. They know the danger that they do. Although kind of a little bit on hindsight, kind of makes the whole thing, trying to find some peace against the demons, kind of feels a little bit, well, unearned, because we only see the perspective of one possible good demon instead of kind of like the rest of them. It feels like it could have been polished, that part, a little bit better for us to feel some kind of sympathy with the demons, and because that kind of comes also a little bit in the conflict in which I kind of like that they wanted to make the theme in which they're basically preparing for this pop idol battle, and the girls are basically making this song named Takedown, but Rumi is having this dilemma because she met Genu and she's she's kind of feeling more open to him to the point that she even falling in love with him. But when she kind of comes up with this song that is basically very biased against the demon, she's like, I don't know, maybe they could have done something a little bit more with, how can I say, to showcase a little bit more of the kind of like the humanization of the demon side, I'll say. Although sometimes I can let it slide. Sometimes it takes sometimes movies kind of say that maybe one can influence another sometimes. And in that part, I will say that they could have polished a little bit better, but I still really like the conflict that Rumi had. And of course, kind of come up a little bit the climax. And the climax has this great song at the end. I'm not gonna spoil too much, but you can tell a little bit the hint that that they have their Korean thing that you always want to end up saying that it's depressive. There is something depressing, but it's still chipper and happy thing for the most part, I'll say. Honestly, honestly, I do feel that probably they should have earned in which everyone could be kind of like happy about, but no, they decided that they will go a little bit what was it? The Train of Busan kind of style. But I can forgive this movie more because at least it wasn't depressive. It feels more earned, I'll say. It feels earned more than I say, let's make depressive and sad and just for the sake of being depressive and sad. That's basically the whole thing, and of course then we got the credits, and honestly I like how they're drawn in the credits, and then of course the movie ends with seeing kind of like behind the scenes, in which that kind of reminds me that I do have a little bit of, how can I say, that wishy-washy picky thinking about hiring voice actors, but the voice actors can't sing, so they have to hire another person, and honestly, I think that a voice actor should also learn how to sing in order to sing the songs. And honestly, think about it. That will be actually cost effective, I'll say. Let the voice actors sing. Why hire singers to replace the character to sing, I'll say. Okay, that's just kind of like, just me. But overall, you know what? K-pop Demon Hunters. I know that it's late in the game, but I had fun. It was a fun. I can see why a lot of people are talking about it, and so I'm in. I'm usually, but don't worry. But you know what? I'm not the usual kind of guy who is overhyping everything, and most of the criticism is kind of like my defense to not overhype anything. I don't overhype anything, even if the thing's kind of like I love or something like that. But yeah, K-pop Demon Hunter was a golden opportunity for me to see a miracle on my pickings on Korean films. So yeah, what a takedown!